Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you're navigating a high-conflict custody dispute in Toronto right now, or maybe you know someone who is, you already know exactly how immense the stress can be. You are dealing with what's likely one of the absolute hardest chapters of your life, and honestly, the very last thing you want is to be financially drained by a legal system that just feels like a giant black box. Well, today, we're prying that box wide open. This is your insider's playbook. We're going to cover how to manage your custody costs, understand exactly what it is you're actually paying for, and, most importantly, how to find the right legal representation to protect both your family and your wallet.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. First, the real cost of custody. Second, mediation, the smarter alternative. Third, vetting your family lawyer. And finally, finding your perfect match. Let's get right into it. Section 1, the real cost of custody. Let's take a hard look at what's actually at stake here.
$50,000 plus. Yeah, just let that staggering number sink in for a second. This is what a fully contested, high-conflict custody trial in Toronto can easily exceed. It's a massive wake-up call for anyone thinking about rushing straight to court. You see, a contested custody trial can easily chew up 50 to 100 lawyer hours. And remember, we're talking about Toronto here, where hourly rates generally sit between $400 and $550 for a mid-level lawyer, and they can climb well over $800 for senior partners. So when emotions are running hot and you're firing off those angry midnight emails to your lawyer, yet those billable hours stack up incredibly fast.
Now, check this out. When you anchor that $50,000 nightmare of a trial against, say, a negotiated custody settlement, which usually runs about $5,000 to $20,000, and then you compare it to mediation sitting at just $1,500 to $5,000, the logical choice becomes crystal clear, right? Plus, get this, roughly 70% of Toronto family cases end up settling without a trial anyway. Forcing a trial is just rare, incredibly slow, and devastatingly expensive.
But wait, the lawyer's hourly rate isn't even your only problem. Beneath the surface, there's a whole world of hidden costs, and knowing about them is kind of like having a cheat code. Going to court? Boom, there's a $224 filing fee just to get started. Need to officially serve some documents? Add $75 to $150 for a processor. And what if you need a parenting assessment from a psychologist or an actuary report? Those expert witnesses charge anywhere from $3,000 to over $15,000. Even the basic stuff, like photocopying and disbursements, will just quietly eat up 1 to 3% of your total legal bill. A trial will literally drain your finances before you ever step foot in front of a judge.
Section 2, mediation, the smarter alternative. Let's talk about de-escalating the high-conflict dispute. Okay, so even in really high-conflict scenarios, mediation is an absolutely critical de-escalation tool. Basically, a trained family mediator comes in and helps spouses resolve their separation by focusing on actionable compromises. And usually, it only takes about 4 to 8 sessions. At $200 to $400 an hour for the mediator, that keeps your total well under the $5,000 mark. And here's a huge tip. The Ontario government actually subsidizes mediation at most courthouses. Depending on your income, that can bring the cost down to as little as $5 to $30 an hour. It is hands down the lowest cost path, saving you from a grueling, multi-year court battle. Moving on to Section 3, vetting your family lawyer. I like to call this the interrogation. So let's say mediation fails, or maybe there's a severe power imbalance and you absolutely need legal representation. Finding a lawyer shouldn't be about them interviewing you. It's about you figuring out who actually wants to solve your problem versus who just wants to stoke the fire to rack up those billable hours. The best family lawyer for a high-conflict custody battle isn't necessarily the one shouting the loudest in the room. You want someone who knows how to navigate the system with real efficiency. So what should you be looking for? Well, a massive green flag is finding a lawyer who has formal training in collaborative family law or mediation. These folks are specifically trained to de-escalate rather than escalate, which almost always settles cases faster and way cheaper. On the flip side, give a hard, fast pass to any lawyer who leans heavily into emotion, starts making personal attacks on your ex, or tries rushing you straight to litigation. Rushing to court is almost never in your best interest, and lawyers who play on your emotions are just running up your bills, not improving your results. To uncover those flags, you need to use these 5 specific cheat code questions during your initial consultation. Most Toronto family lawyers offer a free 30-minute first meeting, so use that time strategically. First, ask them straight up. What percentage of your cases settle without a trial? Second, what's your view on collaborative family law for my specific situation? Third, ask exactly what retainer they need. Just keep in mind that $3,000 to $10,000 is perfectly normal for a Toronto retainer.
Fourth, ask if they offer flat fee options for certain documents. And fifth, ask, can you provide a written retainer agreement? Look, if they give you vague answers about fees or refuse to put their retainer agreement in writing, just get up and walk out. These questions force transparency and test whether that lawyer is going to protect your wallet or drain it.
Which brings us to Section 4, finding your perfect match. Let's bypass the traditional black box entirely. Typically, trying to find a lawyer in Toronto means frantically Googling while you're right in the middle of a major life crisis, only to get bombarded with paid ads from whichever firm happens to have the biggest marketing budget. Or, you ask a friend and just cross your fingers that their referral actually makes sense for your specific custody case. But instead of relying on whoever has the slickest website, Olanur.com strips all of that friction away. It's a platform built specifically to connect you to verified professionals who actually fit your case and your budget, with zero hidden incentives.
Here's how this system builds a way better path to finding representation. It's a brilliantly simple 3-step process. First, you just answer a few quick questions about your situation, things like urgency, your budget, and location. Second, the AI matches you with lawyers whose pricing and experience genuinely align with your needs. And this is crucial. Every single lawyer is verified against the Law Society of Ontario directory, so you know for sure they are in good standing without having to go do the background checks yourself. Finally, you just pick the best fit based on your match percentage. Your first match is completely free, and it totally eliminates those hidden lead fees that traditional marketing services usually pass back to you in the form of higher hourly rates. You are empowered to choose your legal representation based on hard data, rather than slick marketing.
So that brings us to the ultimate question for you today. Are you going to let the legal system control your finances, or will you use these cheat codes to take back control of your future? Going into a custody dispute without a clear understanding of the costs and a real strategy to mitigate them is just a recipe for disaster. But now you have the playbook. Head over to Olanur.com today to find your verified legal match. And hey, please drop a comment below and let us know what part of the family law process surprised you the most from today's explainer. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.